The theme of this month, peace. It's peace, which I think is an appropriate topic for the month of December as we're celebrating the love and the joy and the peace of the season and all of our celebrations of Hanukkah and Christmas and winter solstice and Kwanzaa and whatever, a million holidays in December. It's a great month. I love this month of December. And, you know, although I have to say, it doesn't seem like we've seen a whole lot of peace in the world this year, does it? In fact, it seems anything but peaceful. And I think if we project into the new year, we can see that the hostility and the separation and the hatred and the violence and the wars, if something fundamental doesn't change, that will continue, right? Fortunately, our personal experience of peace is not dependent upon the conditions in the world. It's found within. We know that. It's found within. Jesus, our way shower, reminded us, my peace I give unto you. Not as the world giveth, give I unto you. One of my favorite passages. And when we look at the I am statements in the Bible from the unity perspective, we're seeing the universal I, which is that highest divine self, which is within all of us. So the reminder is that peace is an inner resource, that it's a spiritual quality that's not found in the world, and that peace is not the absence of war. It's not the absence of chaos, but it's the presence of the divine. And I think most of us know this and have experienced it, but it's, sometimes it's not something that's easily accessible, particularly when we're going through challenges. We've got chaos in our lives. Sometimes it's just not easily accessible, right? And so I think the first thing that might be helpful is to ask yourself, what do I need to be peaceful? What do I need to experience peace? Honestly, for some it might be, financial security, that would help me be peaceful. Good health, that would definitely help me have peace. An improved relationship, more harmonious living circumstances, more harmonious working environment. What is it for you? For some people, it's like, when all the wars in the world end and people stop hurting each other, then I can experience peace. Yeah. Yeah, we all want that, right? We all want all of those things, and that's natural because that's the spiritual truth of us. But all of those things are actually the result of first opening to and aligning ourselves with that deep peace that transcends all human understanding. That peace that comes when we connect with that spiritual presence. And when we do, when we open to and connect with that peace that is within us, and we work with spiritual principles, that inner peace is then reflected in our life, in our world, because it works from the inside out. And when all of humanity opens to and aligns themselves with this divine presence and works with spiritual principles, that's going to be reflected in our world. And we'll see that promised peace on earth. Think it can't happen? Maybe, I don't know. But let's kind of dig into it and see how we can perceive it. and how we can maybe help it along. So, when we think of conflict and hatred and division and massive dysfunction in government and all of the territorial disputes that give rise to wars, all of that really originates from a sense of fear, a sense of lack, from this separated self, the small ego-based I that feels separate from source, separate from others, separate from good. Right? I see some nodding heads. Like, yeah. Think about the fear, how it's all unconscious, but how it gives rise to I'm afraid I'm not going to get my needs met. I'm not going to get what I need. Or I'm afraid that somebody's going to come and take away the good that I have. Or that sense of lack, that there isn't enough. There isn't enough. I don't have enough. These people over here seem to have more, and they're less deserving than me. I need to get some of that, right? Or this sense of, I'm not enough, so I need to get more and more and more and more, whether that's power or territory or money. I need to get more, whatever it is you have. Need to get more so that I can feel complete, which will never happen because you can't get enough of what you don't need. Also, there's that kind of cultural zeitgeist of some groups that feel like, well, I know what's best. I know the right way to live. I got the right religion. All of you are fools. And you better get on board or I'll force you to get on board. Right? That all comes from that sense of fear, that sense of separation. Whew, so what do we do about that? They say, well, that's human nature. That's human nature. And honestly, overcoming a sense of fear and lack and that ego-based I takes a lot of effort. In our own life, it takes a lot of effort. And for humanity, it's going to take a complete transformation of consciousness. Because, we can try to fix the world and come up with solutions. And honestly, lasting peace does not come about by some sort of brokered peace deal, as we saw this week, or kind of forcing people into it. No, what's needed is a complete shift in the consciousness of the people, the collective consciousness of the people. That's what's called for. That is what the world is calling for. And so many people are praying right now, which is wonderful. So many people are praying. So many groups, New Thought groups. I'm pretty sure most churches and synagogues and mosques and temples are praying for peace in the Middle East, in Ukraine, in all of the other areas of the world there where there's just as much conflict, we just don't hear about it as much. We're adding our prayers. This is a good thing, right? This is all good. Now, we're on a spiritual path. We want to look, because we want to observe everything. We want to be aware of anything. Okay, so what are we praying for exactly? What are we praying for? Are we praying for peace to descend upon the region? Are we praying for God to please fix it? To please bring your peace to those people who are suffering? Because from my perspective, that's like praying to a super being somewhere to please save us. Please save us. Please rescue us. When perhaps a more effective way to approach it is to pray for the peace that is already present within all of us to be more fully revealed, to pray for the peace that's already present to be more fully revealed. Let's say that together. May the peace that is already present within us all be fully revealed. That's the prayer, right? That's the prayer. Otherwise, it's kind of like, we're sort of living in a cold, dark cave. And we're praying to the sun, oh, please be warmer. Please give me more warmth. Please give me more heat. Can't you see I'm cold? Can't you see I'm suffering? Can't you see nothing grows in here? What's wrong with you? Are you not omnipotent? When all along, all we had to do is step out of the cave into the bright light of the sunlight, into the radiant warmth of the sun. Well, we kind of do the same thing. We're kind of standing in the dark going, please, God, get rid of the evil. Please do something. Can't you see these people are suffering? What's wrong with you? Are you not omnipotent? When really it's us. We need to stand out of the darkness and into the bright light of the ever-present peace, the bright life of the presence of Spirit, which is there all along. We just couldn't see it because we were kind of in this darkness of limited understanding. So we want to step out into the light that is already present. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't help those who are suffering. Absolutely we do. We do what we can, right? We are the hands and feet of God. So we do what we can. Of course we help. That's what we do. But honestly, if we are trying to fix a situation over here, some catastrophe, and we're working to fix it, and then we get that all solved, and then something else is popping up over here, and then we work at that, and then we pray, and we put our efforts, and we solve that problem, and then it pops up over here, and there's something else we have to deal with. Or like in the Middle East, which, this is going to end. This will somehow get solved. But then again, it cycles. Another 8 or 10 years is going to come back again because it is this cycle of trauma. What's needed is a complete shift in consciousness. So our prayer is for the awakening in consciousness. The awakening in consciousness of those who are affected, of those who are inflicting the pain. We want to pray. May your heart be opened. May you experience your own inner peace. May you experience the truth of oneness with your brothers and sisters. May you know oneness. I mean, honestly, if all world leaders knew their oneness with everyone else, could experience that presence of love and peace within them and see that in others, do you think there'd be any more war? You couldn't hurt anybody else. You just want the best for somebody, for everybody, right? So that's our prayer. Also, we want to hold it in our consciousness that this shift in the collective consciousness is a real possibility. And that takes faith, which coincidentally is our Advent word for the week. Activate this power of faith. Now faith is one of the 12 powers that Charles Fillmore told us. We have 12 powers that are really specific qualities of our spiritual power that are kind of energetically associated with different areas in our body, and faith kind of being that quality in the center of our brain. And so that gives us something to kind of focus on, and we can visualize it coming online. We can visualize it expanding, that faith, that power of faith, and being activated. This is the faith where we know beyond a shadow of a doubt that good is here and that it can be more fully revealed every day. That faith. And for this case, so we want to activate the power of faith to know that that shift in the collective consciousness is possible. And here's the thing, shifts in the collective consciousness happen all the time. They have throughout humankind. You know, it happens, and it seems to be accelerating because everything else is accelerating in life. So just, a couple examples, that maybe 30 years ago, it seemed like women over 40 couldn't give birth to their first child. I mean, it was just like considered, no, you have your children in your 20s and 30s, and, a woman's body shuts down after 40, right? But that was kind of the belief at the time, right? And so then women started thinking about, well, wait a second, I'd kind of like to have my career first in the beginning, and then maybe then I can devote more time to having a family, and that need. See, a shift in collective consciousness always happens as a response to a need. And so that need began to grow. People started thinking about it, and science came in and said, let me help you with that. And now it's a common thing for women to have children after 40. We don't even think anything of it anymore. Another example is before 2015, marriage equality was not a thing, and I think before that, most people were thinking, well, this is never going to get passed. In the United States? Really? The conservative, religious, in Norway maybe, Sweden, Amsterdam for sure, but the United States? Really? And then about a year before it passed, there was suddenly a lot of talk about it. People were coming out, become more visible, and people were saying, oh, love is love. It doesn't really matter. Committed marriage is committed marriage. It doesn't matter the sex. People sort of, open to the idea. There was a collective shift, and it passed in 2015. There's an example. Another example is the prevalence now of sustainable energy. 5 or 6 years ago, it felt like, God, is this ever going to happen? I mean, sustainable fuel is so expensive, and, the fossil fuel industry is so powerful. How is that ever going to happen? But the need, right? Existential crisis here. The need is creating a shift in consciousness, and it's growing, and people asking for it and wanting it, and now sustainable energy is cheaper to produce than fossil fuels. And it's happening, and the use of sustainable energy has increased 42% around the world in the last 10 years. That's pretty significant, right? We need to do a better job here. But we are, because the demand, consciousness is shifting, it'll happen. Also, this week, I just heard about, before this week, people were saying, jet engines can't fly on anything but jet fuel. Just can't. You got to have jet fuel for those things. And those are a huge contributor to greenhouse gases. Do you know that there are 100,000 planes that take off and land every year in the world? 100,000 every day. My God, that's a lot of in the air. Makes a huge impact. Well, this week, Charles Branson, you heard about this. Right. Virgin Atlantic flew the first test flight from London to JFK on fuel that was used cooking oil, and some biofuel and some animal droppings, I don't know, some sort of a brew that they put in there, but it worked. And now people are like, oh, it's possible. Look at that. Yeah. So it is. So everybody's going, how do we get that? How do we transform our airplanes so that it can fly on fuel that makes no impact in the environment? What a huge difference that's going to make for us when this happens. Woo! So again, these shifts in consciousness, collective consciousness, is possible, and it's accelerating. So here's my idea. How about we help to instigate a shift in the collective consciousness? That peace is a quality that is within us. It is right here. We can connect with it, and that just might be the answer. Y'all on board with me with that? All right. Let's do it. Let's instigate this shift in the collective consciousness. And I'm telling you, the more and more of us that do this, and we have faith, we activate faith that the shift in the collective consciousness is possible, it's going to happen. So how do we start, right? How do we do this? How do we start this? Well, like everything else, it starts with us. Peace begins with me. We sing it every Sunday. You're going to be really conscious of it when you sing it today. Peace begins with me. We need to practice peace every day. Practice peace. Whether that's meditation, and whatever kind of meditation you do, whatever gets you to that place that you're taking a break from the busyness of the world and your thoughts, and you're finding that breath, you're finding that place, that unconditional loving awareness, and you bring it to your center and you feel that peace and you let it kind of bubble up. You let it radiate out from you. You're radiating this peace. So we start whatever we do that. Could be a seated thing. It could be walking the sacred spaces. It could be gardening. Cheryl had a wonderful meditate the 7-minute, like you were connecting with the heart and the body and the mind and just really connecting in. You know, everybody has a certain slight different version. The important thing is that we do it. We start every day with something like that. And then, of course, as we go throughout the day, what happens? Life happens. Like everybody else, we feel stress, we feel overwhelmed, we get tempted to get sucked into that fear and the lack and the feeling of separation, the small ego I. So when we become aware of it, take some deep, conscious breaths. Breathe with me. Consciously breathing, reconnecting, consciously reconnecting to that peaceful center. Taking a moment. You're hitting the reset button. We're hitting the reset button right here, reconnecting. Okay, I'm ready. This is a couple of techniques that can get us there. There is also this beautiful writing that this rabbi wrote that I found, and I printed it out. And I'd like to have my husband, Dana, come up and read this. I think he wrote it a week or so after the troubles began in Israel. You can come up here or there. That's probably.
Can I raise this a little bit? Thank you. This is written by Rabbi Erwin Keller on October 17th. Today, I am taking sides. I am taking the side of peace Peace which I will not abandon, even when its voice is drowned out. But hurt and hatred, bitterness of loss, cries of right and wrong. I am taking the side of peace, whose name has barely been spoken in this winterless war. I will hold peace in my arms and share my body's breath, lest peace be added to the body count. I will call for de-escalation, even when I want nothing more than to get even. I will do it in the service of peace. I will make a clearing in the overgrown thicket of cause and effect, so peace can breathe for a minute and reach for the sky. I will do what I must to save the life of peace. I will breathe through tears. I will swallow pride. I will bite my tongue. I will offer love without testing for deservingness. So don't ask me to wave a flag today, unless it is the flag of peace. Don't ask me to sing an anthem, unless it is the song of peace. Don't ask me to take sides, unless it is the side of peace.
Yeah. That's it. Peace. We're all there. We're all committed. We're all walking forward. And it is a walk, and we have to be conscious, right? All right. Namaste.